Call the meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Present.
Here.
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 Present. There's no mayoral report tonight, but some acknowledgements. First one is I would like to acknowledge our Police Chief Jeff Gutchow, who now has nights and weekends free because he completed his bachelor degree from North Park University, I believe, and graduated last weekend. So we want to say congratulations. Over in that box over there is a cake for you, which instead of us eating it all, why don't you guys take it over to Anastasia's after the meeting and enjoy it there. So again, congratulations on your graduation. And without further ado, I'm going to give you the floor because we have several police department items tonight. The first item I have on the agenda is the oath of office for our new officer, Michael Albright.
Good evening. So Vanna White wasn't available tonight, so Deputy Chief Johnson's going to substitute for me this evening. So stand in. So I come before you this evening as the department celebrates several momentous occasions. First, I would like to introduce our newest police officer, Michael Albright, as we welcome him to our family and our community. Michael is joined this evening by some of his family, including his girlfriend Carly and their sons Weston and Colton, his parents Scott and Debbie. Michael, who was born and raised in Arlington Heights, holds an associate degree from Harvard College. Before becoming a police officer, he proudly served his country, spending 3 years in the U.S. Army as a squad leader and a transportation specialist. It was during that time in the armed forces that Michael discovered his passion for serving and protecting, which drove him to pursue a career in law enforcement. Michael chose to pursue a career with us after he and Carly rented their first home together in the Antioch area many years ago. Through this experience, they fell in love with Antioch and would provide the ideal environment to raise their family. Both Michael and Carly look forward to buying a home near Antioch, and they look forward to becoming permanent members of our welcoming community. I would now ask the clerk to swear Michael in as our newest police officer.
Okay. I, Michael Albright, having been appointed as patrol officer of the Village of Antioch Police Department in the County of Lake, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of patrol officer to the best of my ability.
Congratulations and welcome. We also have a presentation for a Distinguished Service Award to Zachary Johnson in recognition of his service with the Lake County Major Crimes Task Force and promotion to sergeant. Chief Gutchow.
I'd like to ask Officer Zach Johnson to join me along with his wife Amber and their children Henry and Fiona if they're cooperative. Before we did this, I had a pinky swear with Henry. I'm not sure to what. So joining us tonight for Zach's promotion and recognition, he has with him his family and friends, including his wife Amber, his son Henry, his daughter Fiona, along with his father Roy, mother Elizabeth, and his brother Nick. Thank you for being here tonight to join in this special occasion. Zach has been with the department for about 11 and a half years, having joined Antioch PD in 2010. During this time with the department, Zach has served as a field training officer, an evidence custodian, an evidence technician, a crisis negotiator, and an officer in charge. As chief, one of my most significant responsibilities is to work to identify the department's future leaders. Over the last several years, I've had the privilege to watch Zach grow, not only to the extraordinary police officer he is, but I've also witnessed the emergence and development of a great leader. Tonight it is my privilege to formalize this leadership role of the department by promoting Zach to the rank of sergeant. Before we get into that, I would also like to recognize Officer Johnson for his contributions and accomplishments while serving as an evidence technician for Lake County Major Crimes Task Force. Since joining the task force in 2015, Officer Johnson has played an integral role in investigating more than 30 homicides, 10 officer-involved shootings, and several deaths of suspicious nature. In appreciation of his professionalism and accomplishments as a member of the task force, it is my honor to award him the Department Commendation Medal this evening. Congratulations, Zach. Thank you for all of your dedication and hard work. I will ask the clerk to administer the oath to swear in Sergeant Johnson.
I, Sandy Johnson, having been appointed as sergeant of the Antioch in the county board, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of sergeant to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. Next item on the agenda is the promotion of Nicholas Garcia to commander.
Now I'd like to ask Sergeant Nick Garcia to join me along with his girlfriend Kelly and his son Wayne. You didn't know that, did he? Never come. So joining Nick this evening are his friends and family, including what he describes as all of his parents. I think the look of confusion earlier today on my face by that statement entertained Nick somewhat. Tried to get him to explain just how many sets of parents he actually has, with him simply telling me it's very confusing and to just go with it, saying he just has a lot of parents. Having known Nick for as long as I have, I decided it was best to just go with it and not ask any more questions. So to all of Nick's parents, welcome and thank you for joining us tonight. It is my honor now to come before you for the promotion of Sergeant Garcia to the rank of commander. With this promotion, he will be responsible for the department's administrative division, where he will oversee several critical functions such as records, fleet management, asset control, community engagement, and emergency management, just to name a few. Nick joined the department in 2003. In addition to being a patrol officer and a sergeant, he has served as an evidence custodian, a firearms instructor, a range master, a bicycle officer, crime prevention officer, an active shooter instructor, and a dare instructor. One of Nick's outstanding professional accomplishments was that in 2015, he became one of only 29 master tactical patrol officers at the time in the state. Nick's approachable personality, calm demeanor, and commitment to professionalism and integrity have helped him to earn this evening's promotion. He credits the opportunity to work with and learn from a fantastic group of officers within the department as one of the keys to his professional growth. As a resident of Antioch, his love for the community and his desire to make it a great place to raise a family will inspire his passion for serving our community. Thank you, Nick, for all of your hard work and commitment to making the department one our community is proud of. I will now ask the clerk to administer the oath to swear Commander Garcia.
I, Nicholas Garcia, having been appointed as commander of the Village of Antioch Police Department in the county of Lake, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and I will faithfully discharge the duties of commander to the best of my ability.
All right, congratulations. And finally, happy announcement for the officer. Probably sad for us to see him go, but next we have the presentation of the Distinguished Service Award to Commander Aaron Fendel, followed by the recognition of his 23 years of service.
Having joined in the swearing in of new police officer and the promotion of both the sergeant and new commander, we've taken a bit of a journey through a law enforcement career. As with any journey, there must always be a finish line. Tonight, I am honored to publicly recognize Commander Aaron Fendel for his service to the community as he approaches the finish line of a proud and impactful career. It was June of 1999, in this very room that Aaron and I stood together, shoulder to shoulder for the first time, as we took our oath to become Antioch's newest police officers. On that day, we were filled with excitement as we looked forward to an action-packed career in police work, where we were sure we would spend our days arresting bad guys, driving fast police cars, and making the world a safer place for all. We attended the police academy together, and I vividly remember our first day after completing field training. We worked a midnight shift together alone. Things didn't go well. That night, Aaron and I forged a unique bond, which later became the foundation for our professional relationship and a close friendship. More than 2 decades have passed since then. Those years come with a lot of gray hairs, and in some cases, no hair. Countless battle scars of both the body and mind, and of course, a lot of great stories. Despite the time that has passed, one thing that has never changed is Aaron's level of passion for serving this community. I am humbled by the privilege to stand together shoulder to shoulder with him one last time before he heads into retirement. When Aaron started his career, there were no laptops and squad cars. The police department and his dispatch center were part of the village hall building where we stand now. Police reports were handwritten. Arrest photos were done with Polaroid cameras. I'm guessing there's some in this room that don't know what that is. There were no businesses east of Deep Lake and only a scattering of homes. The village's population was less than 6,000, and mirrored sunglasses and mustaches were a trademark for police officers. Aaron, your leaving us truly marks the end of a great era at the department. Commander Fendel, during your career, you have mentored many within the department, regardless of whether your role was a patrol officer, a field training officer, a detective, a patrol sergeant, an administrative sergeant, or now as division commander. Your years have been marked by professionalism, integrity, and excellence. You have overcome challenges that most would consider insurmountable. You have persevered through some of life's greatest challenges, and your dedication serves as an inspiration to all of us. On behalf of the men and the women of the Antioch Police Department, I extend my profound appreciation and thanks for your leadership, service, and your friendship, which oftentimes came with unfettered counsel. Congratulations on a job well done and a retirement well deserved. I am honored to award you this evening with the department's Distinguished Service Medal for 23 years of dedicated service to the village of Antioch, and a shadow box is a small token of our gratitude for everything you've done. Thank you, sir.
Thank you and congratulations. Want a speech?
Just a couple quick words. Like, first of all, thank my wife and my son. Being a spouse of fosters, as you know, it's put up a lot. So I really appreciate it. I just want to say thank you for all the officers here at my extended family. It's been a wild and crazy ride with you all, and it's been the best dysfunctional family I've ever known. It's been an honor and privilege, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Hey Jeff, before everybody goes to a little celebration from your group, can I have the whole gamut, the graduate, new officer, the promoted officers, and Aaron, if they're still here, take a picture together. All right.
For the soiree.
Come on, Aaron. Come on, Aaron.
Shoulder to shoulder.
That's crooked. Sorry.
Congratulations, guys. Have a good night. Thank you. All right, have a good night. Thank you. All right, we will move on to the regular meeting. First item on the agenda is citizens wishing to address the board. We have two people on the list wishing to address the board. The first is Michelle Rominski, so I will let you take the podium. Again, just make sure you state your name for the record and obviously, you know, address the board. And welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Michelle Rominski. I am a resident of Antioch. Exactly 2 weeks ago, I stood before you to ask people to put away the harmful rhetoric and work together to focus on what really matters, keeping our schools strong. I implored you to keep the village a welcoming community for all. I did not attack anyone. My remarks were not focused on any person. My intent was to tone down provocative attitudes. Imagine my surprise when I heard that I had been accused of attacking trustee Berman. Apparently, a video was posted of my remarks to social media with the title, "Individual Attacks Concerned Mother Fighting for Her Child at Board Meeting." This is an outright lie. Less than 24 hours prior to this posting, she was in this room admonishing the audience without interruption, I may add, for allegedly defaming her. Yet, trustee Berman finds it acceptable to publicly damage my reputation by posting a false and misleading title with a video that clearly shows me speaking in this chamber. For a public official to do this is outrageous behavior. Not only that, but it could also be seen as an attempt to intimidate me. I'm upset. My comments were not inflammatory, and it was quite the opposite. My son was made aware of the video and is now worried that I will be a target because my words and intentions were grossly misrepresented. I emailed each of you. I had a simple request. I wanted a public apology and for the trustee to be censured. Because as we teach our children, actions have consequences. My fear, as I expressed to each of you, is that should there be no consequences, that this behavior would be considered acceptable. There will be no incentive to stop lying about people with whom someone doesn't agree. The response I received that the matter was handled privately. Sorry, not good enough. The video and title were quite public, and as such, the response should be public too. From where my family and I stand, we are appalled by the lack of action and expect better from our public officials. From your own code of conduct, public officials must be dedicated to the highest ideals of honor and integrity in all public and personal relationships as to merit respect and confidence. With the exception of the mayor, your title is trustee. However, your lack of action does not inspire my trust. My family deserves a public apology and nothing less is acceptable. Additionally, I'd like to recommend that the welcoming and inclusive community pledge passed by the board in 2017 is reaffirmed, and that the village institutes training to ensure all employees and elected officials are upholding its ideals. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your time. Again, I don't usually comment after public comment, but I will say for me, I'm sorry that you feel that way and that your family and yourself went through that for myself. And I want to make sure that anybody who comes here to the board can be heard without fear of speaking their mind, whatever side of the issue you are on. And I take all your comments to heart, and I believe the board members do too. So again, I apologize that you feel that way, and this should be a safe place for everybody to have a discussion. So I appreciate you coming back. And so we have one other person on the list to speak tonight. It's Carmen, and I butcher your last name every time. I'm sorry.
Mary, you.
Mary Nuke.
I just had a quick question.
Before, just take your, even though you did.
Carmen Marion, do I have to give my address to?
No.
I just had a quick question. I was just curious how the liaison assignments are determined and at what point. It was just very strange, the timing of it. So I can follow up with that email, but that is a question I had.
Sure. Okay. Again, I'm going to respond to public comment, even though I usually wouldn't. But liaison positions were created in, I believe, 2009 per what I was told by the board and staff meeting this morning. I took a year to understand the liaison positions. During that year in understanding the liaison positions, very early on, I felt it was important for all trustees, including new trustees, to see all the different areas and what goes on in each department of the village. There were trustees that were in certain departments for a long time, which then, kind of makes it like they're the department head of that department. So I thought it was best practice to, on an annual basis, alternate who the liaisons are going to be for each department. So next year, there'll be either 3 of the sitting trustees are new trustees, and we'll be doing those reassignments on an annual basis. So that's my plan going forward, as long as the liaisons are in place. All right, we're not doing Zoom comments anymore, so I guess the next item we move to is the consent agenda. Is there any items that are requested to be removed from the consent agenda?
Yeah. I'm gonna try, we one thing first. I'd like to make a motion to remove the meeting minutes from the consent agenda. Do I- Revisions need to be made.
So we removing them from the agenda, is that normally require a vote?
Yeah, we would have to.
Wait, let me think on that. If it's removed from the consent agenda, then it's moved down to the regular agenda, where we voted on the table.
Correct. Correct. So the only item on the consent agenda will be the approval and resolution authorizing a special event liquor license for the Antioch Moose Lodge for the 2022 Thursday night concert series, waiving all fees, resolution number 22-37. Motion trustee Dominiac, second trustee Bluthart. Roll call, please.
Pierce.
Aye.
Mason.
Yes.
Yes. Hoover.
Yes.
Berman.
Yes.
And Dominion.
Yes.
6 voting yes, 0 voting no, motion carries. Now, the first item on the regular business will be approval of the May 11th, 2022 regular meeting minutes as presented. Motion trustee Dominiac,
Second.
second trustee Peterson. Discussion. Yes.
I would like, do I need to make a motion? Or- Okay, so I'd like to make a motion to table meeting minutes. And then to the next meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second trustee Peterson. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
So I would like to know why we came with it. Normally, if there's gonna be changes to the minutes, we talk about them at the meeting, and then we go and work them out. Why are we tabling? I'd like to
Sure.
get a better understanding.
Yeah.
Explain.
Why we're doing it.
Why doesn't the movement explain requested revisions? And then we can have discussion and then vote on it. Trustee Berman?
I would like to request that my name be redacted from the public comment portion. And then I would also like the ordinance, the 2 ordinance, the codes that were referenced, instead of the short code, I would like the full code ordinance added to the meeting minutes, so they can easily be referenced in regards to the comments that were made at the last meeting.
Any discussion?
What?
I-
Can you repeat that? I'm following, I'm sorry. Trustee Pearson.
I don't understand the part about removing your name. Because you picked it up to speak, so.
As far as the other, not myself, but the other commenters that stated my name. It said I would like village trustee used in replace of that.
I disagree because they said your name, so I wouldn't be amenable to changing the minutes.
Any other discussion?
I would agree with her, we should, the shortcut it, the rest, the since, is this on, this thing on? So, the, code of ethics, which I was a no-vote when that was adopted, because I don't think it's constitutional, when it was put in. It limits speech given by an elected official. But that being said, that could be a subject for another day. Where it's just reference so-and-so ordinance code, that should be put in there. So to make ease of someone reading this in the future, I can see, let's make it easier for the constituent to read it. That makes total sense.
Any other discussion?
Good question. Are we allowed to make that type of redaction?
As long as the changes are accurate. Specifically, the code reference is something that can be done because it increases the accuracy.
I'm referring to redacting, changing your, I wouldn't, when you want your name, like this portion taken out, just say.
Just be referred to as village trustee.
The name can be removed or it can be left.
Trustee Dominiac, and I'll come back around.
I'm struggling with removing trustee Berman's name because if you leave it as just village trustee, it could have been any of us. And so it could say, Ms. Crystal Penn asked for the resignation of village trustee. Well, then people could say, what did Mary Dominiac do, or what did Beth do? So, I'm sorry. So I can't support removing the name. This doesn't identify. As far as putting a whole code, is that what you want to put in the whole code?
Yeah, just
Full code of.
to make it easier for the constituents to read. So if someone read this, my suggestion would be, instead of referencing the ordinance, I'm not taking sides, whoever's having. It's just whoever's basically would read this in the future, 2, 3 years, whatever, 6 months, that it just makes it an easier read. They don't have to go and say, what the heck is that? You have to go through our.
We don't do that for any other code.
We can do whatever we want.
I find-
Yeah, I just think it's easier for this situation because there's we got 2 ethic ordinances on the books.
No, we have one ethics ordinance and one code of conduct.
Code of conduct, right,
on.
right.
They're different.
They're different, but people get confused. We get the one with.
This says code of conduct, it doesn't say
Right.
anything about ethics.
Right, well, I think for ease, it'd just be easier just to put the language out there for the attached ordinance, doesn't matter. I mean, we don't have a computer where we say page length is a problem.
So we don't have to, table this, we could vote to pass the minutes.
Right.
As written and add the code of conduct policy in it.
I think so.
And I think there's, I feel like there's 2 separate motions here, one for the name redaction, one for the code.
I'll amend my second. Instead of tabling, that's on the price right now. We have a motion to table. I could remove my second. And then we could approve these, but with these changes.
You can make another motion.
Which second? The second for the tabling or the second
The
for the?
tabling.
Table.
We're not going to table.
The ordinance.
Yeah.
Because once you unsecond the tabling, then you would have to change your, sort of make the motion for the minutes to add in whatever you want to add in or change whatever you want to change, if I understand it correctly. Because the tabling is a subordinate motion. So that the main motion would then need to be adjusted correctly.
Yes, so
Okay, so let's just adjust it. Okay.
So I believe that if the tabling is done on table, unintended, I think, Katrina, you'll have to amend your motion for the change, what you want to change in the minutes. And I would probably make it as 2 separate motions. If you,
I make a motion to approve minutes.
Your Honor, I'm sorry, I don't think you can make motions over motions to get to it. You either got to hold the motions for Robert rules or vote on the motions that are on the floor. I don't think you can say add this motion.
and I did
You
read
can
the
amend the motion, right?
The people who made the initial motion can amend their motion, but other than that, they would have to table it, then they could accept separate order motions.
which one happened first, Katrina's or Mary's?
Mary
Mary
made
did.
the motion.
Okay, so Mary has a motion on the floor to approve the minutes. There was a second by
Mary,
Mary Peters.
and then.
Trina made a motion to table it, which was also seconded by Mary Peters.
But actually, that was probably a new motion.
No, it was-
Because we already have one.
No.
Or you can make-
You can make a supplemental motion to table.
So can Mary withdraw her second
she can withdraw her second
on the table?
on the table. Okay, so then we would do a roll call on approving the minutes. Unless there's another second for the,
Well, or I could amend my motion to say that to vote to approve the minutes is written with the attachment of the code of conduct.
Right.
policy.
correct,
That would be my new motion.
Yeah. that's a better motion.
And I'll second.
okay? Motion trustee Dominiac to approve with the inclusion of the code of conduct, code of ethics, second by trustee, second by trustee Peterson. Any further discussion?
You're not taking into account how much trust they-
That's not my motion.
No, that's the one I'm just clarifying.
Roll call, please.
Aye.
Yes.
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 Yes,
All right, 6 voting yes, 0 voting no, motion carries. All right, next item on the regular business agenda is consideration and approval of accounts payable as prepared by staff in the amount of $317,629.31.
So moved.
Motion trustee Bluthart, second trustee Peterson, roll call, please.
Yes.
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 yes,
6 voting yes, 0 voting no, motion carries. All right, bear with me on this one. This is number 4. Consideration and approval of a resolution expressing supplemental official intent regarding certain capital expenditures, including 1, the cost of the redevelopment plan and project in connection with the village's Route 83 redevelopment project area. 2, the cost of the business district plan and project in connection with the village's East Business District. And 3, the cost of the business district plan and project in connection with the village's central business district, namely the cost of land acquisition and the construction of public works and improvements, being municipal public buildings, public roadways, water, sanitary sewer, storm sewer, sidewalk, parking, park, recreation, flood mitigation and drainage, and utility improvements, together with related appurtenances, all electrical, professional, financial, bond registrar, legal, mechanical, and other services necessary, useful, or advisable to such acquisition and development and incidental to said improvements, pay bond discounts, bond interest, financing, and administrative expenses to be reimbursed from the proceeds of an obligation to be issued by the Village of Antioch, Lake County, Illinois, resolution number 22-30.
So moved.
second,
Motion trustee Bluthart, second trustee Dominiac. Any discussion on this item? Not, I'd entertain a roll call, please.
Yes.
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 6 voting yes, 0 voting no, motion carries. The next 2 items, I have not heard any updates since this morning. Items 5 and 6 are not ripe for consideration, so I'd ask those items be stricken from the agenda until we have a final document to review. So I'm going to remove items 5 and 6 from the agenda. Item 7 is consideration and approval of an ordinance amending section 10-10-2B of the Village Form-Based Code, ordinance number 22-05-30. I'd entertain a motion in the second, waiving the second reading.
so moved.
Motion trustee Dominiac.
Second.
Second trustee Mason. Any discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Aye.
Yes.
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 Yes,
6 voting yes, 0 voting no, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is consideration and approval of a request from the Village Mercantile for use of the mini park for sidewalk sales. Mr. Garrigan, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
applicant of Vintage Mercantile is requesting an opportunity to host a private business event on June 4th, which by coincidence is the same day as the Village Swine Walk. In your packet in RFBA, there is an attached map, which you can also see behind my back. Specifically, the applicant is seeking village board approval. They're seeking to have an opportunity to have a series of merchants or vendors on village-owned properties, specifically the village's mini park. So actually, Ms. Winkler, who's a owner, proprietor of Vintage Mercantile, is actually here this evening. Perhaps it'd be more appropriate for her to walk you through her application or her request. But because this is a request to use village-owned property, there is no specific policy per se on how we handle these requests. We do not believe it's appropriate for administrative approval. Therefore, we are bringing this for the village board approval this evening or consideration. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Winkler to specifically walk you through her request this evening.
And so I think we have a drawing and a comprehensive layout of what she's trying to do. So to have you have to present twice, I probably ask trustees if they have any questions directly for her and what she's trying to do for the event. So I started to decide trustee Pierce or trustee Masick. Any questions that you would have for her regarding what she's trying to do for this event?
I think this is gonna be very exciting. My only question is if there's any damage to the property, say flowers, trampled garden, things knocked over, then would be assumed responsibility for.
Absolutely, yeah. And I was told about also some issues with the watering system. So all vendors will not be putting any stakes in the grass. It will just be weighted, so there would be no damage.
No variation. Okay, thank you. Trustee Mason.
Is it other vendors
Yeah,
other
right.
than you?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yeah, these are all local, small, mom and pop,
I think,
vendors.
this is anything to help the downtown track to this is a good idea. So what you do, especially stuff you do on Facebook, not only your book, your business, right? Other people have to see what you do.
Trustee Peterson.
Hi, I'm concerned about that little park. Have you talked to the garden club at all, the people that work that park and plant and?
No, well, the
Take
only
care of it.
space we would take would be just the grass area in the back. So not in the flowers or nowhere. The space has to be 10 by 10. So we won't take over the little,
The sidewalk going through?
no, it
Okay,
would just be towards the back where there's a big grassy area.
okay,
So that's where the vendors would set up, would be on the grass.
okay.
That's it, but no, the plants. will-
So the park would be open for people to
Oh,
walk
yeah.
through?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right, Councilman.
Thank you, trustee Bluthorpe. No question, and it's great. Trustee Berman.
No questions. I think it's an awesome idea.
Trustee Dominion.
I think it's an awesome idea. I think it's the wrong day because we're gonna have about 300 people in town. And that's a throughway for people that are parking. The purpose of the wine walk is to bring people in town for our businesses that are here. And, to bring in vendors that basically are gonna compete with the other businesses in town. I just don't think that it's the right day. So I won't vote for it, but obviously I'm in a minority. But please understand, I think it's a great idea. I just don't think that we're trying to keep those alleyways open for people, we're talking about doing all sorts of things for people to recognize that there's parking in Main Street. And there's just gonna be a lot of people, I think it's gonna be too crowded.
Yeah, we won't take over the whole alleyway of the sidewalks.
I know, but it's still,
Be able to walk.
I just think it's the wrong day for it.
One more time.
All right, one last time, and then we'll have a vote. So trustee Pierce.
I think it's a great idea. I got nothing else to say.
Trustee Mason.
I just wanted to trustee Dominion, we had food trucks and the wine walk last time. So if we're in the, this will help this lady, we have this month, because they're competing with the restaurants. So you're thinking market giveaway, but you're allowing food trucks.
I don't think I'm doing anything, trustee.
Oh, you're saying it's
All
wrong.
right, all right.
Hold that. So food trucks are sitting right at the
We're
limit.
not talking about food trucks. We're talking about this event that's gonna be in
I know, I
two
know.
alleyways that we have as thoroughfare.
I mean, you will get the last.
It's just saying that food trucks are out on the wine walk day, so I'm pro-business, so it's just silly. All right.
Trustee Peterson,
I have no comment.
trustee Bluthart, trustee Berman, trustee Daviniak.
I don't appreciate having my comments and my opinions called silly, but that's all I have to say. Thank you. You go ahead.
Thank you. All right, so we are going to take a roll call, please. It was a motion was. All right, so motion to approve. All right, motion trustee Bluthart. Second?
Second.
Second trustee Peterson, so it appears we didn't have a motion second before we start discussion, so we will do a roll call, please.
Pierce.
Aye.
Mason.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Berman.
Yes.
Daviniak.
No.
5 voting yes, 1 voting no, motion carries.
Your Honor,
Yes?
two things. One, somebody sent me a message saying they can't hear the trustees talking. Could they please talk into their microphones? The second thing is, after the last exchange, a personal comment was made over here, and I just want to make sure the board, everybody on the board knows that personal comments should stay out of the discussion.
All right, all right,
No, when you said this is standard silly, after she said.
all right, I agree, let's, I agree, I'd like it to stay, again, when people are talking to, be talking without interruption and not make any accusations or belittle another trustee's opinion. As we all, I respect everybody's opinion up here, and so, again, let's keep it civil. Next item on the agenda is consideration and approval of an ordinance granting a variance for the Antioch Police Parking Lot at 427 Orchard Street, ordinance number 22-05-31. I'd entertain a motion and a second waiving the second reading.
So moved.
Second.
All right, I got a motion, trustee Bluthart, I have a second, was that, who second over here? Trustee,
It could be either me or Mary, I don't know.
trustee Pierce. Is there discussion regarding this matter? Okay, yes, all right, so, I'm gonna bring up, this has been presented to the board in the packet, it's an extensive presentation of different designs, so I would ask if this side of the dais has any questions or comments or concerns. I believe Michael or Jim could address those. Trustee Pierce.
I have no concerns. Are there any plugs for the iPads up here?
Mine's on 10%.
Mine's done.
Trustee Mason, any comments on this?
The security gate's gonna be with the keypad to keep people out.
Yes, there will be a sliding security gate for the vehicles to enter. We're basically where they pull into their salary board today.
And when does this project start? We have bids.
It is not going out to bid. It would go out only after the village board would approve the site plan. It's, I would say, 95% designed and complete. Bid package is nearly ready to go. I would anticipate this potentially to get bids in June and maybe act on this in July.
Trustee Peterson?
Okay, I have a couple of things. It's a great idea and we certainly need protection for the police officers to park. But it was talked about, I watched the planning and zoning meeting about this, and the commissioners were very concerned that we have asked all the property owners of the village, especially downtown Main Street and Lake Street, to comply with what the village is asking them to do. And jump through hoops and try to keep the historic flavor of the village. And I think we need to lead by example here. We're asking for a variance because the fence for the police department is going to be on Orchard Street and visible from Orchard Street. And we've got the with columns, which is great. And that's what they wanted, the planning and zoning board. But we're not saying anything about landscaping. And I'd like to put it in the motion that we're going to take care of that and put the brick columns there, the 4 brick columns in the front, fronting Orchard Street, and that we are going to landscape this so that when someone's sitting across the street, it doesn't look like a prison. You know, it looks nice. And the brick columns will match the police department, and it all flow perfectly. And our police officers are going to be safe, but it's going to look nice. And we're asking everybody else in the village to make their businesses look nice. I think we need to lead by example. So I'd like to amend if you would amend your motions to make sure that the brick columns are going to be there in the front and that it's landscaped, so it looks nice.
It is mentioned in the plan in here about
But
the
it-
landscape
The landscape, but it
in the column.
it's all there, but it wasn't in the motion. I want to make sure that it just doesn't get lost and all of a sudden we have a fence. There's no brick columns.
I think,
I would like to address this issue. The idea of the brick columns, I think, is a good one. Practicality of them is difficult. You typically will see brick columns in a wrought iron fence in 4-foot heights or 6-foot heights. Sometimes it's gonna be 9 feet. These brick columns will be taller than the fence, 9 feet tall. It'd be very difficult to construct. Not impossible, but difficult. They're 2 feet wide, 9 feet tall. They're gonna be a structure that we're gonna have to design specifically. They're gonna be expensive to construct. We respectfully ask the board to omit the brick columns that use heavy landscaping. Landscaping is included in this. To go through I also think it's going to look strange. The brick on the police station is very unique. There's no way to get matching brick. But I think and it came up in our discussions, and it was included in the original design before it went to planning and zoning. After some internal discussions and our engineers coming back and saying how heavy these are, they're going to need special foundations. And I think it's going to look strange to have a very tall fence, 8 feet tall, with these even taller brick columns. I think you have to, maybe difficult to picture, but I think it's going to look odd. My opinion and staff's opinion. And then we're going to put it behind a bunch of landscaping. Which is why I respectfully ask that we omit that in place of landscaping to hide the fence line. The brick columns would actually draw more attention to this fence, in my opinion. We will, as a staff, do whatever you guys want us to do, but I want to just get my comment out there. I don't want this to be looked at after the fact and say, is that the right look? It's based on scale. Just picture a 2-foot wide, 9-foot tall column. To me, that's going to look out of scale, and the brick will not match. So I'm requesting that we approve the variance for the height of the fence, location of the fence, and parking lot construction. So that's why we're doing this project. But to use landscaping to really try to hide that fence as much as possible.
Such as arborvitae.
Something like that, maybe some pear trees.
I mean,
in front of those.
I would be happy to do that, but put arborvitae there, because arborvitae will make a wall. And it's green, it's natural, it's nice. And if you want to hide the fence, great. That's more protection for the police officer. And they don't take a lot of water, right? Agreed. So
I just wanted to put that comment out there before we start amending motions. You know, after a second, third thought of this, you know, staff has come to the conclusion that we can make this look okay, accomplish the goal of securing a lot, screening it from the street. I fully appreciate the comment about us doing what we ask everyone else to do, which is why I sent it to planning and zoning. The fact is, there's only going to be one secured police parking lot in this town. This is not something that will get repeated by anyone else, and we're making every attempt to comply with our own ordinances.
I agree. It's only gonna be the only parking lot, a secure parking lot. But it's right downtown. It's right there. And it's right in an area where we're asking everyone else to comply.
Which is why we got the variance. It's precisely why I sent this to PCB for a to issue that typically we wouldn't issue ourselves a variance, but I thought it was important that we at least have this discussion and then at least make the village go through the same hoops we send anybody else through for a variance. I believe there's a hardship that's been demonstrated, with lack of parking, difficulty in creating a secured lot, which isn't a usual thing you would need. Nothing we can do about the location of the police department, but at least we can try to make it look as attractive as possible. But really the look of this and the constructability of it, and what it's going to do to cost, I think we're all going to be a little bit in sticker shock when this does get bid, based on what I'm seeing out there. That's just my staff recommendation. It's the board's prerogative to
Well, I think a lot of our providers aren't gonna be that much money. A lot cheaper than the brick columns.
wage.
Okay.
Trustee
We
Clark?
amend
No, it's just based on what's in the packet.
I have no further.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Berman? Trustee Dominiac?
I do have a question. When the staff report that Mr. Garrigan put out said that the police officers would be entering the parking lot from the back of the building. I'm looking at a picture that shows curb cuts and a driveway on Orchard Street. And it's page 111 of the packet. So what is it?
So the front of the police department parking lot could be improved. We, at the same time, designed it, what we call an ad alternate. If the.
So this is the parking lot in front of her.
A modification to the parking lot in front of that building, to me, is also a good idea to increase parking for the public, which has very little parking over there.
You know what, I'm just trying to kind of, now I realize that I'm looking at the driveway for the existing police department, not a driveway. But my other question is, there is housing just to the east of that, so the lighting plan is not going to disturb those people?
The lighting plan is designed to be shielded and downlit only. We actually ran photometrics, so we measured what the foot candles would be at the property line. So we are designing it, certainly any lighting in that lot, to try to impact the neighbors to the east as little as possible. I mean, they will see this, but they have their own fencing as well.
Yeah, I would concur that as long as we landscape this heavily, so that attractive. I'd be to amend my motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Pierce?
I was just listening to the conversation, and the first thing that came to my head is that there's a lot of places I go that have solid brick walls that are like ivy covered that look really nice. And if we got people, if we're talking about downtown, maybe we should be making it look really nice. And no matter in the wintertime, the arborvitaes may be green or they may be brown, or they may not be fully blocking the view. I think we should know what the expenses are of making it look as nice as we can, whether it's solid brick all the way across for the fence line or just brick columns with a security fence. And when we talk about it's going to be the only police parking lot, it may be that, but we also have storage unit parking lots that we require, and we've even had lawsuits over having all the appropriate rules, ordinances, and laws followed. And now we're gonna turn around and say we're not gonna follow them to the best of our ability. I think that's kind of not right on their part, so. I'd like to see this get approval to get a review of what the actual cost to make it look like a true downtown parking lot and not just a security parking lot.
Thank you. Anybody on this side?
I don't think our fight is. Pins and needles. They stay green all year round. They don't use their leaves.
Any other discussion on this?
Are
So,
you suggesting that we table this?
so right now, what we're talking about is the variance for the height of the fence. I believe the next item, my iPad's dead, so I apologize, is that, we're talking about the site plan and the look of the fence, correct? Yes, yes. So I think we can approve the variance. There's further discussion or items on the next item. Do it that way, but I don't have the ability to see it right now. So
Oh, it isn't. Let me just for clarification, there's technically two variances which are incorporated in the ordinance. There's an ordinance based on a form-based code. The first variation is the location of the parking lot. Form-based code requires that all parking lots be generally located in the rear of a building downtown or the back 50%. Obviously, this does not apply or comply with that. So that's the first variance. Second variance is that you require that any fence that's located in the form-based code or village core be no higher than 48 inches and incorporate brick. So the second variance is obviously for security, we discussed where we requiring an 8-foot fence. So that's a second variance for the record.
And so I think we could probably call the vote on that item, which is what's the motion second right now. So I'd entertain a roll call for the variances for the height of the fence, as well as the location of the parking lot. And I believe the next item is where we would talk about the site.
So just to clarify, the variance does not include has to be not included.
Well, yeah, the variance, that's more related with regards to whether we do brick pilasters or a brick wall. That's really more about the site plan, which we discussed, second component of this discussion.
I got a roll call. Thank you.
Pierce,
Aye.
Mason,
Yes.
Pearson,
Yes.
Eckhart,
Yes.
Bird,
Yes.
Dukenyak,
Yes,
6 voting yes, 0 voting no, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is consideration and approval of an ordinance approving a site plan for the Antioch Police Station parking lot at 427 Orchard Street. I have a question for the attorney. It's listed on the agenda as an ordinance, and then after that, it's listed as a resolution. Again, I do not have the document in front of me, but I believe it's a typo on the agenda. So we are going to amend item number 10 to be consideration and approval of a resolution approving a site plan for the Antioch Police Station parking lot at 427 Orchard Street, resolution number 22-39. I entertain a motion in a second. Motion trustee Mason,
Second.
second trustee Peterson. Okay, discussion regarding this item. I think it's a continuation of what we were just discussing.
I would make a motion to table this for further review of the cost and potential landscaping possibilities.
Motion trustee Pierce, second trustee Dominiac.
We table it just to the next meeting.
Yeah.
I'm specific.
Okay.
Administrator Khan.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would suggest we put it out to bid and bid the brickwork separate. Okay, to move this along. We could bid it both ways, so you can see, otherwise we're gonna be guessing costs. So why don't we do it that way? If you give approval to us to bid this, but typically I wouldn't do that without the board's approval, but if you allow, we can bring this back and see it both ways and make your decision on approval of the site plan at that point.
So there's a motion on the table
I
to,
amend my motion to do bid.
I can take care of that. if there is something in the minutes that the board has directed me to go out to bid with the brickwork of the fence bid separately.
Yeah, so you can write that down, I'll amend the motion that way.
And I'll amend my
So we'll
second.
get it for next meeting.
Well, we have a motion to table, we have a motion to table, so we gotta go to that first, yeah. So on the motion to table, we'll do a roll call on the motion to table first.
I'll remove my motion to table as long as we do get both bids, so we can see it both ways.
I'll withdraw my-
All right, let's start over here. Do I have a motion and a second for the consideration and approval of this resolution contingent on receiving the,
Amended my motion. You took his off, I amended my motion. She seconded.
I'm just clarifying, so state your motion one more time for the record, and since we unwound it, we're back to square one.
So I'm allowing the village administrator to go out for the bids with the floor. So we have it for the next meeting on the parking lot.
Second.
Motion trustee Masek, second trustee Peterson.
What I'd like to do, what I think would look better is if it would probably be more constructible and cheaper if we have 4 foot of brick on the bottom and 4 feet of fence on the top.
I was thinking, can we do something like
That, I think, it would be the way I will bid this. And I think that will give you the option to see it with brick and without brick. And it'll probably more appealing from the street, if that's whichever way you want to go.
All right, so do we have to amend the motion again here?
No,
I think it's clear.
I want to ask the lawyer one. Yeah. So here's what I want to do, sir. Because it almost is like a motion to table with Jim to do more research. But what I'm understanding is it's a motion to approve contingent upon Jim getting the bids for the next meeting. Because are we approving the resolution or are we kicking this over to the June 8th meeting? That's what I'm clear about.
I would not put a date, table to a future date, not to a date specific.
Yeah, so I feel like there's a motion to table this with,
Yeah.
with, okay.
we're back to that?
Yes, I think we're back. I think this is really a motion to the table because the resolution can't go anywhere without this information. So
I'll reduce my motion to table based upon the bids that the village administrator brings to the board.
No. I can.
all right, motion trustee Pierce, second trustee Dominiac. Roll call, please.
Pierce,
Aye.
Basic.
No.
Gibson,
Yes.
Hoover,
No.
Berman. No. Minnick. Yes.
Yes. 4 voting yes, 3 voting no, motion carries to table this to the to a next date certain. All right. I'll get a tutorial of Robert's Rules of Order tonight, I guess. All right, next item on the agenda is consideration and approval of a resolution approving a facade grant request for 948 950 Main Street in the amount of $2,700. Resolution number 22-40. I entertain a motion in a second. Motion trustee Dominiac, second trustee Peterson. Mr. Garrigan's here for a discussion or questions.
Yes, this matter is coming this evening for a request for a facade grant for the property at 950 Main Street. Mr. O'Brien, president here, Chambers, is requesting facade grant for to proceed with tuck pointing. The question came up actually this afternoon, a discussion of why tuck pointing is being distinguished from maintenance. From a preservation perspective, tuck pointing is actually identified in our facade standards and facade guidelines as a qualified qualification for the facade grant request because of its really integral part of any type of preservation. Obviously, whenever you pick up a masonry building, it's critical that the brick be completely restored. So it is a qualification under the facade program. The applicant has identified he'd like to start work. He has not directly started any work yet. The overall cost is $5,400. He's requesting approximately $2,2700 for the facade work on this building. I've identified historical significance of this building. It's been identified as a contributing building in the actual downtown historic survey. There's still very extensive historic integrity to this building. This building has not really been modified. So there's really a good historic integrity to the building as relates to materials, i.e. the brick, windows, even the storefront. So with that, staff is recommending approval this evening of the proposed facade plan. So with that, Mr. O'Brien is actually here.
Okay, so I'll just open it up for questions from the trustees. Trustee Pierce, any questions?
I have no questions, it's pretty straightforward.
Trustee Mason?
Just one question, Mr. Garrett. So when the old scoring system, where we get and I understand what your business is, but the old scoring system where we get a return for a buck, and I get this is like in the center of downtown. We don't do that no more.
Correct. This is
This is the historical part.
This is a facade program. We never scored. So the old scoring system is, it's history. It's basically that program we eliminated. So
I remember eliminating
it wasn't budget. I mean, theoretically still exists. There's just no money in the budget for it.
All right, Trustee Peters,
I have no comments.
trustee Blizzard, trustee
No comment.
Berman, trustee Dominiac.
No comment.
All right, roll call, please.
Pierce,
Aye.
Mason,
Yes.
Pearson,
Yes.
Hoover,
Yes,
Berman,
Yes.
Vivian,
Yes.
6 voting yes, 0 voting no, motion carries. Thank you. Thank you.
I want to thank you for it. This is exactly the problem. We got close. You just kind of rip off the piece, throw in some, and what's your problem, O'Brien? And I said, no, this is the Grice Brothers' second block. You can see Fox Lake from the roof. This is important. But finding somebody to do the work. Yeah, welcome to America. I really appreciate it.
I know, thanks for, thanks for fixing it up. Thank you. All right, administrators report.
Thank you, Your Honor. It's been an interesting week at the wastewater plant. Put an email out earlier this week. We had a failure of clarifier, which is a large concrete tank. This tank's been in service for 12 years, one of 2 identical tanks. The good news is we can operate with 1 clarifier. And for the last 8 years, we have been alternating these clarifiers. So at any given time, one of these clarifiers has been drained. But these clarifiers have probably been drained 50 times since they've been in service. Somehow on Sunday night, when this clarifier was drained, the center of the floor was not able to withstand pressure of the groundwater, hydrostatic forces. The weakest part about this tank is the floor. It buckled, probably about 28 inches, as far as we can tell. I have spoken to several engineers this week. I had a structural engineer visit the site. I had a Teams call with another firm, with a team of engineers, both wastewater engineers and structural engineers. I've been in consultation with geotechnical engineers. And I wish I could answer for you what's going to happen next, but the reality is we don't know what changed. We don't know why at this particular moment or this particular time this floor buckled. There's a big concern when rain comes through. Sometimes we do need to use the volume in this tank. If it keeps raining, we may need to fill the tank. It's likely that the tank will reseat itself once it's filled. We will evaluate with the manufacturer the equipment in the tank. There's a pier in the middle of it with a motor, an apparatus, a scraper arm, a skimmer arm, which rotate around in this tank to process the solids and release the clear water. So it's called clarifying. It's a serious situation. I don't know how much Couldn't tell you when it would be fixed. I can't tell you how much it's gonna be fixed. Don't know what the fix is. We gotta figure out the problem first. We're in a diagnosis phase. I will have to spend some money. I've probably spent a little bit of money so far, a couple $1,000 getting some opinions from structural people. I would like to install groundwater monitoring wells or piezometers to, so we know where the groundwater is at. So essentially, when these tanks get taken out of service, if we do that, when groundwater is high, they become buoyant. And those forces are, this tank is not designed to withstand those forces. So further investigation is required. I will report back to the board once I learn more. I think we're talking about $12,000 to $15,000 to have piezometers installed to understand the groundwater around these clarifiers. The plant does not have a groundwater management system where we can control groundwater. And that may be step number one in this, is to have a system installed where we can control the groundwater before we have to take these tanks offline. So that's the process we're in now. We're investigating, we're still doing assessment on damage. And I'm consulting with everybody I could possibly get on the telephone that knows what they're talking about, to try to solve this problem. It is a problem we need to solve. We just have to keep working this problem. I do not believe it's catastrophic. I don't think we're DEFCON 1. But we're compromised, both in capacity and ability to meet discharge limits, in particular with phosphorus. So these are the challenges that the operators, Director Heimbrodt and I have, is to give you a solution and present something to you in the shortest possible time frame. Fact is, we'll have to take the other tank down for maintenance in about 8 weeks' time. It's an identical design. So we're going to attempt to make sure that that tank doesn't meet the same fate as the first one. That would be catastrophic. So that's the report I can give you at this point in time. Thank you. Are there any questions? We opened bids today for the road program. We were estimating the program about $700,000. It came in about $844,000. So we're hearing that bids were coming in high, and sure enough, we had two bidders, our typical two, Payne Dolan and Peter Baker, and bid came in at $844,000. When bids come in higher than engineers' estimates, we will take a look at the program and see if things can be eliminated. Typically, we bring our programs in under estimates, under bid amounts. It's a line item quantity bid. We do see opportunity to not jeopardize the quality or what we're doing to the roadways, but to not use all the quantity necessarily built into the bid. I'm going to estimate that the project will come in somewhere, when all is said and done, and it's constructed at about 800. So we'll have to make use of, I was trying to keep this program completely paid for out of MFT. We need to blend some general fund money into this to complete the program as designed. That's all getting analyzed. It'll come to you for award on the next meeting. I just wanted to bring it to your attention.
Thank you. All right, thank you. Village clerk report tonight. All right. Any trustee reports other than those that were submitted in writing? Trustee Berman?
I wanted to let everybody know that the owner of Station 51, Chris Schumberger, wanted to invite first responders, police, this coming Friday to Station 51 for just a get-together event, free food and cash bar. And I forgot what I know it's until 2 a.m. I believe it starts at 5. I have to check that.
All right, thank you. Trustee Pierce, here's something.
I just want to take a moment First of all, I did send out information about public works, doing their job every Thursday, getting things removed and cleaned up and taken care of. I also discussed with Dennis, figuring out a way to come up with a more frequent street sweeping program, so that's in the books. In regards to earlier discussions tonight, I just want to make sure everybody knows that I feel that everybody, no matter who it is, whether it's Trustee Berman, whether it's Michelle, or whether it's Joe off the street, or whether it's Bob down the road, if they want to come to the village board and talk, that they have the right to talk, all of them. And then it's up to the public to make their decision. So I support in this country the free speech of everybody, and I don't think anybody should feel like they can't come and speak to the village board. On top of that, I think maybe we should have a session during our quarterly session or at a committee of the whole meeting, a review of the code of conduct, so that we're all fresh on it, since it's been a while since it's been here. Maybe a discussion on its applicability. And then, just as the mayor chose to change the liaisons on a regular basis, I think maybe at least every time a board is sat, we should go over the diversity and inclusion pledge and any other pledges that we have in effect, and make sure that the current board either agrees with those pledges or not. But it should be voted on a regular basis, either yearly or when the board sits.
Thank you. All right, any other trustee reports? Trustee Dominiac?
I don't have a report, Your Honor, but I would like to apologize to you and to the board and to the staff and residents for speaking out of turn. Thank you.
Thank you. There's no objection. I'll adjourn this meeting, and I'd like to get the police chief out of here. So are you okay if we just keep going into the committee of the whole? Okay, we'll take a 5 minute. We'll take a 5. Okay, so I'm adjourned this meeting. I need a motion to adjourn. Motion, Trustee Dominiac. Second, Trustee Bluthart. Roll call.
Yes.
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 6 voting yes, 0 voting no. Motion's adjourned. We'll reconvene in 5 minutes. All right, call the meeting to order at 8:01. For the committee of the whole meeting, roll call, please.
Present.
Here.
Stay right here and I'll pull up.
Yes, or here, sorry. Here.
Present. First item on the committee of the whole meeting is approval of the May 11th, 2022 committee of the whole meeting minutes as presented. I'd entertain a motion in a second. Motion, Trustee Dominiac. Second, Trustee Pierce. Roll call, please.
Pierce,
Aye.
Mason,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Bluthart,
Yes.
Berman,
Yes.
Dominiac.
Yes.
6 voting yes, 0 voting no. Motion carries. Mayoral report. I dropped the ball on this earlier, but I forgot to say congratulations to one of our newly married trustees up here, the honeymooners. So I would say congratulations to Brett on the chose to have his honeymoon at the village board meeting. So thanks for coming. All right. No any citizens to address the board. There's nobody here, so we're good there. Regular business is ETSB consolidation. Chief Gutchow, is it?
So just very briefly recap from the memo submitted in your packet. About the last 5 years, the county's been having some discussions on how to consolidate law enforcement services countywide. There was a study done that identified a couple of different options that were highlighted in the packet. Kind of what the outcome is going to be, I think, ultimately in the end is you're going to start seeing VSAPs with their 911 centers begin to consolidate their services under some direction from the state 911 coordinator that's kind of mandating some of these independent centers come together and start to operate under more uniform umbrella. So in furthering that, last year the sheriff's office, in partnership with the Lake County ETSB, which we were already a member of, began to purchase some software which is going to start improving communications and efficiencies between law enforcement officers, agencies. I'm sorry. We have been a part of the Lake Zurich RMS consortium, which uses Tyler New World's RMS software for about 5 years now. This is gonna be a move and a transition, which is essentially just gonna expand those capabilities. We will be leaving the Lake Zurich Consortium, which has been in the process of being disbanded as a part of this initiative. Since all the municipalities are gonna see some cost savings. And ultimately, in the end, I think you're gonna see at least 30 law enforcement agencies countywide, likely some fire services as they begin to implement some fire RMS systems. And then the court management system is all consolidating their entire Tyler umbrella. So it's gonna give us greater access, greater information sharing with our law enforcement partners, improve technology. That's gonna reduce some of the technology maintenance burdens on our end. Berkeley Amy is responsible for a lot of the project management on our side of the connections, where everything is now going to be cloud-based under this system. And it'll be Lake County's responsibility to maintain it. And as part of that, it's also moving us into a e-citation platform. Currently, countywide, we've always had to handwrite citations. In the last couple of years, the circuit court chief judge has laxed their restrictions, and now as the court implements their own CMS court management system, there is going to likely be a directive coming from the chief judge that's going to require electronic bond transmittals. So it's going to reduce some redundancies and increase efficiencies. Currently, we're paying about $15,000 per year as part of our maintenance and licensing fees in our current arrangement with Lake Zurich. We are going to recognize some cost savings for that. There is some additional built-in contingency fees for future enhancements that we don't currently have. If the current consortium was to continue the next couple of years, Lake Zurich would have to upgrade all of their servers. Those costs would be shared amongst the 5 agencies that are there. This should stabilize fees and make them a little bit more predictable and control the costs moving into the future. So next month I'll be coming before you to make a recommendation for authorization for the administrator to negotiate terms of costs that are into an IGA with the Lake County Sheriff's Office in Lake County.
Thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, I just want to know if our current police liaison has reviewed this and it recommends it to the board.
Of course I did. This is gonna be a step to. This is a step to move CENTCOM over. So when CENTCOM moves over, they get a 2-year lease agreement left. So when this goes over, you're gonna see, once they start seeing cost savings, you're gonna see this attach. So then you're gonna see stuff start combining. So this is a good thing.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? All right, thank you, Chief. Do you want this to be moved to the next meeting, or is this going to be some further down the line?
Slated for the next week.
Say the right thing. All right, don't go anywhere. Next item, don't go anywhere. Next item is the discussion regarding an ordinance amending handicap parking regulations.
Yes, this matter was actually brought forward initially by Trustee Pierce with a request to review our current fine structure for violations of handicap parking. Our current fine is set at $250, and it only covers off-street parking. Working with Lotto, we amended the ordinance to reflect the maximum statutory fine of $350 per violation for that. Take these offenses a little bit more seriously. And there was some language incorporated to allow enforcement on on-street parking should the village ever designate some on-street parking facilities for that purpose. We do not currently have that out.
Right. Thank you. Any discussion regarding this matter? All right, we'll move it to approval for the next board meeting. There's emergency overhead stages, so see you later. All right, have a good night. Next item on the agenda is the discussion regarding downtown beautification initiatives. Mr. Garrigan, we did talk a little bit, I believe, through email and staff that I think instead of going in depth into the actual plan, that we're looking for authorization to move this committee forward to come with some concrete recommendations with price, timing, and workforce. So that's, I'll leave the floor to you.
Yes, thank you. Very briefly, you have in your packet a set of small incremental proposals for the beautification of downtown, and now we discuss this as a strategic planning. There's a general consensus about proceeding. What I'm proposing this evening is to have an opportunity to create a small ad hoc group of individuals to come back, hopefully in a month or so, to the board and propose some actual concrete proposals, designs, and as it relates to landscaping, actual planting species. And so the overall philosophy behind this, as you well know, we have a major proposals for downtown beautifications, what we're talking, I think there's some low hanging fruit that we can focus on short term, have some short term benefits with regards to beautification. So with that, I'll be more than happy to answer any questions.
Any questions on the right side? I think as soon as I get started, the better.
Yeah.
Okay. Any discussion on this end? All right.
Just one, I know we've been talking about the street painting, and things like that. I just want to make sure that the board is ready to approve any designs for that before that is approved.
Absolutely. You'll have an opportunity. It will obviously be non-political, and it will be some general designs, and you may bring the art foundation in some general concepts. So that's something we'll bring to what we're review.
Trustee Berman?
In regards to the crosswalk, I saw that in the packet, it stated that the staff was not recommending doing the, as far as changing anything in between the transverse lines. Is that,
I think I think the point I was trying to make, I think we try to redo the crosswalks and be wonderful we could, but that complicates, as you know, 83 has IDOT jurisdiction.
well, right, and I was concerned about that. I know that there's been issues, there's been, I believe, federal rulings throughout the years, in regards to that. And then, also, I researching some things, there's people with vision impairments, there's certain types of vision impairments that have issues with certain patterns and you know, like depth perception, compromised depth perception. So I was concerned about that because it's a big thing to take into consideration for something like that. So
All right, so we will look for follow up in about a month or so for some concrete designs on that. Yeah, in a month. Any other business that needs to be discussed tonight? Any requests for executive session? All right, otherwise I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
Besides everybody. Motion by everybody, second by everybody. Actually, roll call, please.
yes,
Yes.
yes,
6 voting yes, 0 voting no, motion carries, meeting adjourned.
I was